Welcome to the Debrief, everybody. Aaron Keller along with Linda Candy Bodden. We need to go live into a Tennessee case right now where a defendant is accused of killing another man who he claims molested his girlfriend. This is 25-year-old Sean Foley on the witness stand. He admits to gunning down 44-year-old Jimmy Shelton, but he says he did it out of self-defense. Foley says Shelton attacked him after learning Foley recorded evidence of Shelton engaged in a sex act with Foley's own girlfriend. Prosecutors, however, say the shooting was premeditated murder. We're on cross-examination on that point right now. Let's listen.
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
You're terrified.
Yes, ma'am.
While you're standing inside the house hidden,
He told me to be away.
you're terrified while you're standing inside the house hidden, peeking out the window,
I'm still scared.
while you're hiding in the house.
Yes, ma'am.
He will be okay with it. He won't like it, but he'll be okay with it as long as there's no actual sex involved. You're narrating. Well, I mean, maybe other limitations involved with him being comfortable, just making sure I'm not being hurt or anything like that. Does that still sound consensual?
I believe so, yes.
Then you narrate, no, I'm not that. I'm not going to have stipulations when it comes to shit like that. Then you narrate, there's not stipulations. He needs to be, if I'm fucking paying for it, I'm going to do it. Then you narrate, so that he can, as long as you're not penetrating me, I'm not with your penis. It'll be fine. I can make sure he's willing to stay the fuck out of the picture. Does that sound consensual?
It's questionable.
You're narrating this and you think that sounds questionable, and yet you're not doing anything about it.
He's not doing anything. She's an adult.
She is, isn't she, Mr. Foley? She's an adult. She's 25 years old, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She's perfectly capable of making her own decisions about what she does with her body, isn't she?
Sober.
And she's here today and testified that she didn't need your help that night.
That's what she said.
And that's exactly what she said. And did you hear her on the recording? You were there, but you also heard the recording, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't we listen to what she said, and you tell me if this is accurate, right as the shooting is about to happen, when she says no.
Sean, stop.
No! That's your fault. That's your fault. Stop!
How many times did she tell you to stop?
She wasn't telling me to stop.
She was saying, Sean, stop. Let's listen to it again.
The last part.
Let's listen to it again.
Sean, stop.
No! That's your fault. That's your fault. Stop!
How many times did you hear there? Do you want me to help you at 6? Did you hear 6 times of her saying, Sean, stop, 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 stop?
I heard her say, Sean, stop, and then stop, stop.
6 times she says stop, and yet you shoot Mr. Shelton multiple times, right?
That's correct.
And then after that, let's talk about how many times this person who said she didn't need help from you said no. If General Desmond could play a section of this recording where she says no.
For the record, which exhibit number are you referring to?
The recording, Your Honor, that was entered on the...
Which number is that? I need to keep up to the record.
During the recording is... exhibit number 74. Yes, 74.
Referring to exhibit 74.
Come now. Come here now. Or,
She doesn't have anybody now.
sir, are you still there? Marin?
What did you do? Does that sound like somebody who appreciated that you just shot some guy on his own porch?
He charged me after he tried to draw.
Mr. Foley, when you first come out onto the porch, you don't initially say to her or to anybody else that he charged you, do you?
He charged
What
me.
you initially say is he was raping you, he was molesting you, right?
That's why I went outside.
That's not accurate at all, is it?
That's why I went outside. She tried to get up and he pulled her back down.
How long were you in the military?
Less than a year.
In fact, it was October to May, correct?
I believe so.
Part of that, are you discharged?
I had fractured my right femur, and
That's not what your DD-14 says, though, is it?
that's what leads up to it, ma'am.
It says personality disorder, doesn't it?
I was depressed.
Your discharge reason is personality disorder, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have handgun training when you were in the military?
No, ma'am.
What about your handgun safety training class?
For my... what do you mean?
Didn't you have handgun safety training for your handgun carry permit?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't there some training that has to do with not pointing a gun at an unarmed person?
If you have reason to believe that person's armed,
Okay. So that's right. You said earlier he put his hand in his pocket. Did you see the picture, what he was wearing?
yes.
He's got on shorts and a white t-shirt.
It's what he was wearing the night that he drew me through the door.
Did you, oh, by the way, on that note, did you say you brought an ex-girlfriend to Miranda's mother's house to spend the night?
No, ma'am.
What did you say? Who did you bring there?
Lindsay, my ex, she was bringing me there with my stuff. She had to use the bathroom. She was, I believe. This was right
You did
after-
bring your ex-girlfriend to Miranda's mother's house, right?
She had been there before, ma'am.
Okay. You're bringing your ex-girlfriend to your new girlfriend's mother's house
Yes, ma'am.
where you're living on their good graces.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, on this night, you also had sex with Miranda with a house full of people where everybody could hear. Is that accurate?
I didn't, yes.
You really just didn't have any problem exploiting her, did you?
I didn't exploit her.
Okay. Do you know at that point in time, when was it that Miranda told you that Jimmy Shelton had abused her as a child?
She's fairly open about it to the general public.
So it had been some time, right?
I
That
suppose.
you knew?
Yes, ma'am.
And yet you're staying at this house, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're bringing your, how old's your daughter?
At the time, 4.
4-year-old daughter to this house? You're bringing your 4-year-old daughter to this house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're letting her spend the night there?
In my room.
You also thought it might be a good idea if she slept in there with them so you could have sex with Miranda, right?
That night, Jimmy wasn't there. Marissa slept in the bed with Miss McGinnis, and the 2 younger girls wanted Raven to sleep in there with them, and they had kid beds.
And this, you just carried on a friendly relationship, working out on the workbench, actually, with Mr. Shelton, correct?
We had never actually worked out. We just moved it.
Okay. You helped him move things,
Yes, ma'am.
hung out in his man cave.
Yes, ma'am.
So, now Jimmy's working at Costco, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Dawn's working at Cremation Solutions here in Maryville.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And Marissa's working. She's got a job, correct? She's having to drop the kids off before she goes to work.
Can you repeat that, please?
Marissa's got a job. She's having to drop the kids off before she goes to work.
Yes, ma'am.
Miranda's working.
At this point, no.
Okay, so that night she wasn't?
She had been arrested for 2 weeks.
So she's going to get a job when she gets out of jail.
She had no transportation back to Pigeon Forge.
And so you all are hanging out. Had you seen Jimmy? You hadn't seen Jimmy with a weapon that night, had you?
When he got off work, he brought it in from his truck,
And what does he always do with it?
puts it in his pocket,
Does he put it in a safe?
I suppose.
Okay. Did you see him with it after he put it in the safe?
I didn't see him put it in the safe.
Okay.
I saw him get out of the truck and
Did he change clothes when he came in? He did, didn't he? He went from his work clothes to his lay-around shorts, right?
I think so, yes.
So you all are there, everybody's drinking, and then Marissa and Dawn McGinnis go to bed.
That's correct.
The girls go to bed. What time is it when you send the text asking Miranda to bring you, what was it you asked for, cigarettes because you can't sleep?
I believe so.
Did you have any problem with her being alone with Jimmy at that point in time?
She wasn't alone.
Where were you?
Bedroom.
Sorry?
I think I was in the bedroom.
At 3:30 in the morning, she wasn't alone with him. He was out there with him.
I'm trying to think. I don't know exactly at that point.
You said you record things for contingencies. What does that mean?
Well, at that point, I was talking about my boss and the argument that I had been in with my father.
You had an argument with your boss, so you recorded it. You had an argument with your dad, so you recorded it for contingencies?
There was a miscommunication with my boss, and my brother and I almost lost our jobs, so we started recording.
So contingency implies in case you need it for something, right?
I suppose, yes.
So what was this recording you recorded that you turned over to the police, or tried to turn over to the police?
The one prior to this?
Yes, you testified that you recorded something that you wanted to turn over to the police. What was that?
There was a recording where Miranda, when she was still with her ex-boyfriend back when we were just friends, he had beat her, and the next day we actually had to put her in the hospital. But she called me crying and told me to come there. And when I showed up, she told me what had happened. And I turned on my recorder, and I went and started talking to her now ex before me about what had happened. And he was talking about how he got mad at her and they got in a fight. And what he said is he beat the shit out of her, and then he broke her TV. And
So you recorded all of this?
I did.
You turned it over to the police here?
It was in Knoxville, and they knew I had the recording. They said that they would investigate it, and if they needed it, they would contact.
So you had this person who literally beat her so bad she had to go to the hospital. Did you shoot that guy?
No, ma'am.
But I'm assuming that wasn't consensual.
He didn't try to kill me, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Foley, we've seen the picture of you that night. Where are the injuries you sustained when he tried to kill you?
He was charging me to take my gun.
Well, I thought you said he had one.
He tried to draw one, so I drew, and then I was trying to leave, and he charged us.
He had tried to draw an imaginary gun.
He tried to draw a gun on me, ma'am.
Did he have a gun?
Everything happened so quick.
Aren't you standing there watching it? You're narrating it to the 911 operator. Did anybody ever pull a gun off of him?
We walked around the house.
Did the police ever pull a gun off of him, to your knowledge?
As far as I know, no, ma'am.
Hold on just a second. No, we're exhibit 15. Mr. Foley, I'm referring to Exhibit 15 here. You recognize that picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me where he had the gun.
He reached for his right pocket.
What kind of a gun was it?
The one that he normally carried was a single stack. It was black.
You don't think you will be able to see it there?
I wasn't looking at his pockets, ma'am.
Well, how did you know he had a gun there?
I really thought he was drawing one on me, so I drew mine.
Truth of the matter is, you really wanted to shoot him, didn't you?
No, ma'am.
You didn't.
No, ma'am.
Oh, come on, Mr. Foley. You thought he was raping your girlfriend. Surely you wanted to shoot him.
No, ma'am.
You expect him to believe you didn't want to kill him when you walked out there and said, I swear to fucking God.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I believe that's been asked and answered.
Can you repeat that, please?
You said, I swear to effing God.
So I'm going to allow to finish the question.
What did you mean when you say, I swear to effing God? Doesn't that just beg to have completed, I'm going to kill you?
No, ma'am.
And then you said it again. Would you like to hear it? I believe General Desmond can pull it here when you come out on the porch.
I fucking swear to God. All that's on fucking recording and it's recording right now. I fucking swear to God you say fuck. You fuck with her again and I will fucking drop you.
Sean, stop.
You didn't want to shoot him when you said, I will effing drop you.
It doesn't mean to kill, ma'am. It means to stop.
You're pointing a gun at him, Mr. Foley.
At this point, this is when he lunged, when he shifted. I thought he was trying to kill me. I had just walked out on him raping her.
Except that he wasn't, was he?
He was.
He wasn't raping her, was he?
I believe he was.
Did you hear her?
Today?
Yes, today.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't say he was raping her, did she?
Today she didn't.
May we drop 31 her?
It's him. Actually, the court's going to take a brief recess. It'll be in recess for about 10 minutes. I'm going to actually send the jury out. In the meantime, there is to be absolutely no discussion about this case, no reactions whatsoever to any of the evidence. There is in no way for you to telegraph to anyone else any feelings or responses to what you have heard. To do so would be to violate.
Live testimony from Tennessee with a defendant on the stand. You just heard the judge say the court is going to take a break. We have analysis. Cheryl Dorsey, former LAPD sergeant, is with us along with Linda Kenny Bodden and Judge Brandon Birmingham from Dallas, Texas. So let me jump in with the panel here. Linda Kenny Bodden in studio. Your thoughts on this testimony from this defendant? The prosecutor's really fighting with him about exactly what was going on with the girlfriend in the heat of the moment right before he pulled the trigger.
Well, you know, Aaron, yesterday I thought that he was going to be hung from the rafters, okay, in my opinion. Today, I'm thinking that maybe he's such a sad sack, and we now know he has a personality disorder, which would have never come in from the military, that maybe he'll get a lesser included. I'm not ready to give him first degree right now yet.
Judge Brandon Birmingham, I mean, what's going on here from the jury's perspective? Is the jury feeling sorry for the defendant and demonizing the victim? What do you make of this?
Well, it's an interesting exchange that you had. Obviously, his testimony before on direct examination was quite riveting. He was, as and Ms. Bodden said, very much a sad sack. But then you had the very salient point made by the prosecutor when she played that excerpt from the tape. You're saying to Mr. Defendant that you're trying to protect the woman, the girl who just got raped, but she's yelling at you, no, 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 don't shoot, things like that. So it was a pretty poignant cross-examination part right there.
Look, I agree. I think that was the crux of the whole cross-examination, and there were some good moments in it. So Cheryl Dorsey, look, we just heard the defendant on the stand basically say that his girlfriend lied when she characterized what she was doing with the victim on the porch when this thing happened. So who do we believe here?
Well, everybody has a part to play in this. They're all unsavory, if you ask me. But at the end of the day, someone lost their life. And when we take into consideration the size of Mr. Foley versus Shelton, 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, he's advancing on him aggressively, almost, like a bear coming at a little kid, because this Foley guy looks like a child. It might seem reasonable to the jury that he would need to use a gun to get this big guy off him.
Brandon Birmingham, my thought here is maybe the jury will take these points into consideration and knock this charge down, because they might look and say, hey, look, this defendant shouldn't have pulled the trigger, but we can at least rationalize some of it.
Well, sure. I think there was a very good line that this trial and the other one that we were watching today calls to mind. That's from Bill Alexander in the Jack Ruby trial in 1964. Jurors always consider whether or not the deceased should have departed. And perhaps they're thinking that this was an excusable one. Maybe the deceased should have departed in this case because he was up to no good and doing things he shouldn't have been doing. Those are the kinds of things the jurors are going to be thinking about.
And assuming that that's exactly the way it was going, because of course there are some other people swimming out in the periphery of this case who are saying, look, they don't believe that this victim would have done any of this stuff. That's not entering into this trial, but we should point that out. Let's listen now to some of the testimony from the girlfriend. She was on the stand earlier today, and she described what happened leading up to the shooting.
Sean had only had a couple of shots of vodka that I was aware of. Jimmy was drinking Southern Comfort with tea.
The defendant goes inside. Why did the defendant go inside this night?
I had asked him to get me a shot of vodka.
What's happening on the back porch while he's gone?
Me and Jimmy were talking. I was asking him why he did the things that he did in the past, and it just escalated from there.
Okay. When you say it escalated from there, what do you mean?
He propositioned me in order to get a car.
Okay. Were you a willing participant in that conversation?
Yes.
Was there anything about that conversation that was forced by Mr. Jimmy Shelton?
No.
Did he ever force himself on you?
No.
Now, what was the deal that you all were working out?
He was trying to look at me and maybe touch me or have me get with some friends and record stuff so that he could see it or him record it himself. I don't really remember all the details of the conversation.
Okay. So at some point, do you remember whether your pants were down during this evening?
Yes, I know when Sean walked out, my pants were down.
Remember, the defendant was watching this, recording it. The prosecutor next asked the girlfriend about whether she gave consent and whether the victim actually attacked the defendant. The girlfriend said she did give consent for the victim to be touching her. So, Cheryl Dorsey, look, you said they're all unsavory, and I think a lot of people watching this might agree with it, but legally we've got to narrow the issue down as to whether this was a premeditated murder, because the defendant was absolutely furious about all of these sex acts going on with his girlfriend and allegedly other people. It's tough to narrow it down to that, and I think the prosecutor is going to have to narrow it during closings.
Well, listen, I mean, he's acquiesced and condoned her having relationships with other women, other men. He's recorded them together. So I don't think the sex act is what was bothering him. I think it was actually when Jimmy came for him, fearing because they've had physical confrontations before. Jimmy's pulled a gun on him before. And I think he was fearful that if I don't pull my gun first, he's going to hurt me. He's a big guy.
So it turns into a self-defense argument. Judge Brandon Birmingham, if we have to boil it all down to low gravy, is that the issue that the jury really needs to look at here? I'm starting to agree.
Well, you know, the defense is going to say it doesn't matter what was really going on. It only matters what appeared to him to be going on at the instant in time that this crime was committed. That's what they're going to be focused on, and they're going to call right back to his testimony and right back to how he was able to tell his story in a very convincing way.
Brandon Birmingham, appreciate your insight here along with Cheryl Dorsey, Linda Kenny-Bodden. We have to wrap up the daily debrief. If you're watching on the Law and Crime Network, we're going to be back live in just a moment after this quick break with more testimony from the defendant. If you're watching the debrief, we'll see you again here tomorrow at 5 o'clock, wherever you're watching. We're live at 5 on the Law and Crime Network.